What is going on YouTube and weight loss warriors? It's your boy C-Dub and I'm back with another video. And today I want to break diabetes and obesity down by the numbers, and I'm going to do it right after this. What is happening? My name is C-Dub, and if you're new to my channel, I lost 125 pounds eating just one time a day, or OMAD, and I'd like to welcome you to the channel. I started this channel to help you out with tips, tricks, and knowledge that I've learned along the way in my journey to help you on your journey. I appreciate you clicking on this video, and to my weight loss warriors, my subscribers, the people that are out there grinding every day, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for always watching my videos. So today I want to talk about an important topic because we don't talk about it enough, and that is the real raw statistics on what is going on with obesity and type 2 diabetes in this country, but all over the entire world, and how it impacts us. And the reason I want to talk about it is because I feel like if we have an understanding of the direction we're either going to or the direction we may be actually sitting in right now, we can better fight the war against this. Because so often we hear about so many different things in the world that are epidemics or big problems, but obesity just isn't on the front lines of the news every night. They're not putting up articles saying, hey, listen, right now, currently, there are more people dying of diabetes than there is of gun violence. And so every night we turn on the news, we hear about the deaths by handgun, but we don't hear about the real killer of people today, and that is being overweight. And that's what we're all trying to do, is to stop this from happening. But it is now a fact that 2 out of 3 adults, over 70% of all adults, are considered overweight or obese. And then we're talking about over 1 in 3 adults are considered morbidly obese. And so that is a big problem. And if you don't understand how that works, it comes off of a thing called a BMI. And it is not the most accurate way of measuring somebody's size, because somebody could be 300 pounds of nothing but pure muscle. But for an overall estimated, just way of looking at it, the BMI is what we standardly look at. And so if your BMI is over the range of normal, you're overweight. And a lot of people are slightly over the range of normal, and so you could argue that skews the statistics a little bit, that if somebody is 5 pounds overweight, they're considered overweight, and they're probably very healthy, whereas somebody that's morbidly obese isn't. But 1 in every 3 adults are right now currently morbidly obese. So if you're thinking about that is a pretty heavy statistic. But moving even farther than that, 1 in 13 adults are considered extremely morbidly obese and in serious health crisis. And that's a statistic that scares me. But what scares me even more is when we hop into talking about the children. 1 in every 6 children today, 1 in every 6 children today are in the overweight and obese range. And if you really think about that, we're talking 2 to 19 years old. That is when you are in the best shape of your life. That is when you are really preparing yourself for your futures and all the different things that you have going on. And you're generally burning more calories, your hormones are working better, and everything is working at its optimal levels when you're young like that. And we're still hitting 1 in every 6 children are currently overweight or obese. If we break it down between men and women, 35% of men as 40% of women. When we look at the extreme obese numbers, they're pretty staggering too. 5.5% of men and 9% of women. When we talk about 1 in every 13 adults being morbidly obese, that's 7.7%. If you can think about that, 7.7%, almost 10% of our population is considered extremely obese. Looking at obesity and extreme obesity by race too, 36.4% of white people are considered to be overweight, and 7.6% of white people are considered extremely obese. 48.4% of African Americans are considered overweight. 12.4% of African Americans are considered extremely obese. Asians are at a 12.6% overweight category, and their obesity is not strong enough to consider it 1%. Hispanics come in at 46.6% of Hispanics are considered overweight, and 7.1% are considered obese. Breaking down the kids is a very, very scary thing. 9.4% of 2 to 4-year-olds are overweight. 9.4%. 1.7%, almost 2%, are extremely obese at 2 to 4 years old. 17.4% of 6 to 11-year-olds are considered overweight. And a staggering 4.3% are considered extremely obese. 12 to 19 is even higher at 19.4, almost 20% of children at that age. And then we're still at a high 7.6% of extremely obese children. When we're talking about obesity numbers, these numbers are increasing every single day. These numbers are growing exponentially across the entire planet, and it's getting to be a point in which it is a grave concern for all of us to worry about the health and well-being of our country and what we can do to better that. And I personally believe that that starts with ourselves and fixing us, and then helping spread the word that we're in an epidemic and we're in a place where being morbidly obese and being overweight isn't becoming something that is going away. It's becoming something that's growing every single day. And that inherent will lead us to our next part of this video, and that's talking about diabetes and what diabetes is doing by the numbers. First, I want to say with diabetes that 90 to 95% of all diabetics in the world today are type 2 diabetics. And what's a little bit weird about that, or understanding that, is there's two different types of diabetes. And type 1 is genetics. Type 2 is actually self-inflicted. So when you really think about that situation, type 1 diabetics only taking up 5 to 10% of all the diabetics in the world. And most of the diabetics, it comes from our own personal choices that are allowing us to be there. I find that interesting. According to the CDC, there's over 100 million diabetics and pre-diabetics living in the United States today, and 30.5 million diabetics. More than 10% of the United States' overall population currently has type 2 diabetes. 1 in every 10 people. Mexico and Brazil, over 12 million. Russia and Egypt are over 8. Germany comes in at 7.5. There's 72.9 million diabetics living in India. And the record right now, 114 million living in China. 4% of every 18 to 44-year-old in the United States today is living with diabetes and don't even know it. 17% of 44 to 64-year-olds are living with it. And a quarter, or 25%, of all adults over 65 have type 2 diabetes. And this is the emphasis I would like to throw down on this video. The part that I hope you made it to and I hope you pay the most attention to. 84 million Americans right now have pre-diabetes. And 90% of those Americans don't even know that they're pre-diabetic. Now, I can talk about my personal experience with this. When I was overweight, I know that there was a time that I was doing some blood work, and a doctor casually said to me, "You're pre-diabetic." And I remember thinking to myself, well, at least I'm not diabetic. And that was kind of like, what? And I was thinking to myself too, like, man, maybe in 20 years I'm going to develop diabetes. That's okay. And I was probably 30 something at the time. But he casually went over it, didn't talk about any plan. He didn't talk about any way to get my blood sugar levels the right way. And he let me walk right out of his office like it was not even a big deal at all. Knowing that at some point I probably would develop diabetes, and also knowing that this is a preventable situation that I'm going through, and that if he gives me the right information, maybe I can make an adjustment in my life and during my lifestyle and correct some things and change this around. So you have the power to fix your pre-diabetes if you have it, or your type 2 diabetes. You have the power to fix your obesity or being overweight. You can do it. I have done it. It is something that is not as complicated as we want to make it. But we cannot sit back and lie to ourselves and say that we're healthy or that we're in a good place when these diseases literally take away our sight. They can take away our limbs. They can put us in all kinds of terrible health issues and problems. And it's totally 100% preventable if you just do the work. You know, I believe that work starts with intermittent fasting. And if you've never intermittent fasted, I've got a video popping up right here that'll tell you all about it. And then you see my face right over here. Click on it and subscribe to this channel. Become a weight loss warrior. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you on the next one.